Okay, let's go ahead and finish up this embroidery project. So this is going to be part two. I did part one on Friday and you're seeing part two here on Sunday. So as I said in part one of this video, I filmed a lot of this, or I did a lot of this like off camera because it was just a little bit easier for me. And I also did speed up these videos just a little bit because obviously just a little bit easier on my vocal cords when it comes to doing a voiceover. I know that there are a lot of people out there that have done like really long crafting themed videos, like for like embroidery, tatting, things like that. And there's nothing wrong with that, but I just personally prefer to keep my videos just a little bit shorter. So yeah, I really like how this project turned out. There was definitely a few little goofs that I made in this, but that's okay because I'm still very much a beginner, and I feel like whenever you make a mistake, it's just a little like learning curve on how you can get better. So this one corner here, this is where I started laughing because I was like, this little corner has somehow turned into the purple flower corner, which I was not like, that was not my intention. But I liked this color purple, and I was like trying to use up the rest of the thread because I was like, I just got the one part done. I still have quite a bit of thread left on the needle, so like let's just go ahead and use it up. And I did not realize how much of this color purple I put into one space, and I just started laughing. I was like, whoops. It was pretty, but I was like, is that going to be too much purple all in the same location? Anyway, like I also said in part one, I did use actually the embroidery thread that came in the kit. However, I went ahead and I just put the colors where I wanted them to, except for like that main flower there. I did do that according to what the I did do that according to what the kit said to do. But for the most part, I was just like, I just want to go ahead and do this my own way because I just wanted to see what color combinations I could come up with. Like I said, I really liked how the end result was. Now, right here, this is this flower that I end up majorly making some multiple mistakes on because the color of thread that I chose to use, it was really pretty. But then I accidentally paired it with a too dark of like a teal color. I actually thought I grabbed another color of the thread, but I grabbed the wrong one. And it ended up looking kind of like a huge mess. And I was like, I don't like how this turned out, and I didn't want to take it out because I was afraid if I took it out, it would have ruined like the pattern right there. I was afraid that it would like tear the pattern, and I was like, we're not going to do that. And then my mom was like, she saw it and she's like, why don't you just go ahead and add like a lighter color in the center, and that should fix it. And I did it, and that definitely fixed it. So that is definitely something I'd recommend doing. And I'm going to say this in all of my embroidery videos that I do on this channel. I do not separate out the floss. Like, I know you're supposed to separate out the strands, but I do not separate out the floss. And I want to go ahead and say that very quickly because I feel like there's people out there who are going to be like, you need to do this, like you didn't do this the right way. And when it comes to crafting, I know that there are certain types of things that you have to do to make something look right. But in my personal opinion, if it is easier for you, then just do it. That's my personal opinion because not separating out the floss for me is the easiest for me to do because I find that it just works better. I like the way it looks with the full piece of thread. But obviously, if you want to separate out the little strands, you can. This is just what works for me. But also, I thought this was so funny. Like I said this in the part one video. It reminded me of like, I did like all four seasons almost in this. But one of the flowers, besides the pink one, actually turned out to be my absolute favorite because I thought the way I did it was absolutely gorgeous. That like burgundy and like coral color flower, I thought that was so, so pretty. Like I just wanted to try something a little unique here. This is a great way to try out different color combos because, you know, just because you have a package or just because the kit says to do, you know, it one way does not mean that you have to follow the color pattern 100%. It's a great way to practice color combos. It's a great way to just try out different color combos, see which ones you like. And yeah, but I thought the flowers turned out really pretty, minus that one that I made the boo-boo on. But other than that, I thought it turned out really, really pretty. I will also say though, I do like the fact that I incorporated multiple different shades of green and not just one shade of green, which is what I typically tend to do. And I thought that just added a really cute little, or just like a really just beautiful little element, because it added two different tones and it gave you like that summer fall vibe, which I thought was which was so pretty. But yeah, so we're just gonna go ahead and do some more of this vine here, and then I went ahead and I did, like I said, some of this off camera, because this project, there was a lot of details and I thought it turned out beautiful, but there was definitely quite a bit of detail to this. So I went ahead and I did do some of it off camera just because I thought it would be easier. And yeah, and like I said in part one, I would definitely recommend, if you are a person who is wanting to do embroidery or you want to start like an embroidery kit for someone else, I would recommend giving someone like a couple bags of extra thread. That way they can pick and choose the colors that they want. I would also recommend getting a couple like packs of some needles. That way you always have some spare needles if you need them, because sometimes the needle that comes in the kit, it doesn't fit in the threader, or the threader, yeah, it doesn't fit in the needle, which can be very annoying. And I would also recommend getting a threader, like a couple of them, because one of the things that really frustrates me about some of these kits is that they include the thread, the pattern, the hoop, but they don't include the threader, which I think is really, really annoying. I mean, I have a threader, so that's not a huge deal. But if you're a person that does not have a threader, that might be something that you would want to consider to like purchase before you do something like this. That way you already have that on hand, and that's not something that you need to worry about if something is not included like that. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and keep finishing up this project here. This definitely had like a really good mix of like fall and summer, and it was just really, really pretty. I definitely need to start looking to see if I can find some fall type embroidery kits, because I feel like doing a fall type embroidery is going to be really, really pretty. And if you're a person like me who cannot handle the heat in the summer, the humidity, or the bugs, then I think doing crafting is a great way to pass the time until, you know, spooky season starts. All right, so now we're going to go ahead and continue the very final little vine here. I'm not gonna lie, I had a brief moment of questioning if I was gonna have like enough thread to do this, because I was trying to use up that one piece, and I was like, I really, if I can avoid it, I do not want to have to get another piece of thread out, because I was like, I feel like if I got another piece of thread, I feel like I would just be stuck with one long piece of thread that I didn't even need to like put into the needle, because I didn't have that much of a pattern or much of an image left to do. So I was happy that I was able to do the rest of this using the one piece. But yeah. So that's about it for this video here. I hope that this video was relaxing and enjoyable. I am really liking embroidery. Now, would I say it's my favorite hobby? Probably not. I would say maybe it's in my top 4 favorite hobbies, but I do find it to be very relaxing, and I do think that this is a great way to try out different color combos, just to see which ones you like. Now, if you're a beginner into embroidery, I would start small and work your way up with the patterns, because I made that mistake, and at the beginning of the year I made that mistake, but I think everything turned out really, really pretty. And just keep in mind that the more you practice, the more you do things like this, you're going to get better at it. If you are worried that you're not going to, just keep practicing and you'll definitely see improvement very quickly. I'm not perfect at this, nowhere near perfect, but I do feel like I am better than what I was when I first started embroidery. I know more about it. I'm more like in the rhythm of it, things like that. So yeah, so this is it for part 2, and this is what the end result of the project looked like. I thought it turned out really pretty.